Greetings all. Another quick take video. I have some free time. I figured, what the hell, I'll just throw down another video, get some thoughts out on the the dreaded, most beloved and hated high-end headphone of all time, the Hifiman Susvara. I have owned this headphone twice. I bought it, loved it, but said I'm missing something. I can't get it to where I think it needs to be, and I ended up selling it. And I missed it so much that I bought it back. I've owned a lot of headphones that I've owned multiple times, like the Abyss, and there are a few others. But this one I came back to. I thought, you know what, I'm missing something. I'm not getting the full potential out of these headphones. And I think that was correct. The problem is with these headphones, and why some people love them and some kind of give it a negative, is you gotta power these things properly. And they are a bitch to power. Did I just say that online? All right, I just did. You're not going to get them powered from a TT2. It's not going to happen. Now, I have a cable where I can plug into the XLR outputs and get a little more power. It didn't matter. I mean, it clipped and it sounded horrible. These headphones are almost impossible to drive, and you almost have to spend the exact same amount of money on what you drive them with as you do on the headphones. And you may even want to spend more money on the amplifier to get these things powered correctly. So let me just say, I think these are my favorite headphones of all time. They still are. I have not listened to the T+A. I know those are supposed to be tremendous, but in my experience with playing around with headphones, which I've been doing for a very long time, I've owned every high-end headphone imaginable. These are my favorite. And it just reminds me of like a superhero that has superpowers from all the other surrounding superheroes. They're maybe not completely as powerful as the original superheroes, but they've stolen enough. And that makes no sense, but let me just try to elaborate on that if I can. Soundstage, they're good. They're not as good as the HD800 from Sennheiser, but they're very good. I mean, I think the soundstage is very, very nice. The bass, they make nice dynamic bass. They do not go down as low as the Fostex, nothing does. They don't go down low as the Abyss 1266, but what they do is very, very good. Excellent bass. What about the treble? It's great. The treble on this thing is great, and it's got tons of detail. Are they as detailed as Stax? They are not as detailed as Stax, but they are very fast and never sibilant. I think they're incredible to listen to. The mids, okay. The mids are not as good as the Focal Utopias. To me, the Utopias have the most incredible fleshed out mids that sound so realistic. And it's just like there's meat on the bones with the Utopias. Now, the Utopias have a horrendous stage, and there are a lot of negatives about the Utopias. I don't like the fit, and I don't like the creakiness. All right, fine, but they're good headphones, but they have amazing mid-range. These are very close to that, right? So you're getting the theme I'm talking about. These do everything these headphones do, they do well, but they're not the best at anything. But when you combine everything, oh my gosh, what an experience wearing these headphones. Oh, let me, one more thing I'll say about them. Comfort, oh wow. They are incredibly comfortable. They're not as comfortable as the Meze Empyreans. They're just not, but they're close. That's how much I just love these headphones. So I've powered them with all kinds of stuff. I've used Benchmark AHB2 speaker amp. I've used it with my Jeff Rowland Class D amp. That's 250 watts. I've used it with, I've tried it with some tube amps. In the end, I think the best thing I've powered these with is my Burson. I've got the top of the line Burson Voyager, and that powers these very nicely. I think that for me, that's the best amplifier I've heard with these. Now the Burson gets really hot because it's pure Class A, but boy, it makes these things sing. These are really quite a bargain nowadays. I mean, I think I've seen them on the used market for about $3,000. Not bad considering the new unveiled version, which really I don't think is a whole lot better, except that you can break the driver easily. I will say I haven't heard them personally yet, so I shouldn't comment. But from what I've heard, you know, maybe not as big of an upgrade as you would think for the price difference. I think the new unveils are $7,000. Don't quote me. But yeah, you can definitely get these on the used market for about $3,000. No problem. There's some complaints about the build. Okay, fine. You've got this metal band. It's kind of not very fancy, is it? It's just a piece of metal bent. And then the headband, I mean, it's kind of seems kind of not very high quality, does it? But I think there's a method to the madness for this, because this metal band is very lightweight. The construction is probably as light as they could make it. You need some metal and some mass for the drivers to have a foundation, right? You don't want the headphones to vibrate. You want the driver to vibrate. And I think that's the reason the Abyss 1266 is such a beast. You know, it's a huge piece of metal and it's extremely heavy, but that's why the Abyss sounds so damn good, is they have a solid base for which the drivers can then vibrate and not transmit that energy back into the yoke and the rest of the headphones. And I think Hifiman does a pretty good job. These are still very lightweight. Big fan of these headphones. Now, if you don't have the $3,000 to get these used, I highly recommend the hekse, H-E-K-S-E, the he1000se. For the price, I think they're one of the finest values in headphones. I haven't looked recently for the price on these. I bet you can get them for $1,000 or less on the used market. And yeah, they're not quite as good as the Susvara. They're not quite as refined. Everything is a little bit less good, but they're easy to drive. You can drive these with almost anything and they sound great. That's the biggest weakness of these guys. They're just such a pain to drive. So these would be a very close contender as tremendous headphones. What else can be said about this headphone? I don't know. I'm a big fan of the Susvara. If you can get a used pair, go for it. And don't be afraid to get a used pair, okay? People complain, oh, I don't want someone else's cooties. Well, listen, at worst, pop off the pads, all right? You can wash them in warm soapy water, wash them real well, squeeze out the water, and then leave them on a windowsill for 12 hours, 24 hours. They will dry out and they will be perfect. And you can put them back on, or just buy a new set of pads. Not a big deal. So anyway, there you go. There's my opinion about the Susvara. I still think they are among the finest headphones I've ever owned. I still own them, and no plan on selling them anytime soon. And treat yourself to a pair. I mean, you'll enjoy them. On the used market now, they're really worth it. And power them with really high quality electronics, and you'll never look back. Anyway, I hope you didn't find that completely useless, and have a great day.